If you're new to my channel, welcome. I do a personal vlog and I take you along with me on my journey of activities and things that mean a great deal to me. And I share my opinions about different things. And I show you some of the things that make up my life. I'm a classical pianist and writer and artist. Now, in the video prior to this one, I talk about my journey as a vegan. I began quite a long time ago by first becoming vegetarian and then becoming vegan. So I was sharing some of that journey with you, and I decided that I'd like to talk a bit more about it as I have some more points to make. So I have continued that in this video. And I'm going to begin with showing you my breakfast smoothie. I'm not really keen on food preparation, as I stated in my last video, but I decided it might be kind of fun to show you a bit more of some of the foods that I eat on a daily basis. So when I arise in the morning, I go downstairs and I make my breakfast smoothie. So we're going downstairs to make my smoothie. Let's go! I'm putting on my bunny house slippers. Mornings are quite busy because I take care of my washing. Here we are in the kitchen, and I also prepare my meals, and then I also prepare my lunch at the same time. I start with adding my frozen fruit. Of course, this is my freezer. Here are my lovely organic frozen veggies and fruits. I like my bananas quite ripe, actually. I add my frozen organic blueberries and organic strawberries. I also add organic walnut butter and peanut butter, my favorite food. Also pea protein powder. Voici mon petit déjeuner. I like to put raisins and fresh blueberries on top of the smoothie at the end. Now to prepare my lunch. I basically eat pretty much the same thing every day because that is what works for me. Today's lunch is a variation of the one I showed in my prior video, which is simply called On Being Vegan. So that was part one, and this one is a continuation of that. And I featured my lunch in that one as well. I have roasted vegetables here. This is patty pan squash and asparagus. Asparagus is my absolute favorite vegetable. And also some roasted cauliflower. And on the top, I sprinkled basil, which is my favorite herb. So my protein powder is here, and my organic mixed nuts, and here is my organic medjool date, cherry tomato, and an olive. And I also have sliced avocado today on my lunch. I really do love avocados. As I stated in my prior video, I do not miss eating meat one bit, and I grew up not really enjoying it too much, especially fish and seafood, things like that. I really did not like. So it was, I feel, a natural progression for me to actually wind up vegetarian, which I did when I was a teenager in high school. The one thing I do miss, however, as a vegan is cheese. I absolutely adore cheese. Oh my God, there is nothing as marvelous as an exquisite British cheddar. And I also like brie. I like a lot of the hard cheeses like Havarti and Gouda, which in the Netherlands is actually pronounced Gouda. I love that cheese. And I do think about cheese sometimes because it's possible, obviously, to get cheese made from organic milk from, you know, happy cows. But actually, cheese is really, really heavy on the dairy. So I found that dairy does affect my hormones. And it's just not the greatest for me. It has sort of a, if it's heavy, it's a bit clogging, you know, clogging to the sinuses, things like that. And it's more of a health issue. Not a terrible health issue, but it's more of just not feeling that I really need that. I don't really need that in my life. I think that cheese is basically heavy. So you can eat small amounts of it, and every so often I will buy a very, very good cheese and enjoy that. But I don't eat cheese on consecutive days, and I do it very rarely. Since I've been vegan for such a long time, I have found that nowadays it's pretty easy to be vegan, whereas when I first went vegan, depending upon where I was, it was quite difficult to go to a restaurant and order vegan. And in fact, a lot of people didn't even know the meaning of the word. So it depends where you are, obviously. It depends what the culture is like where you're at, and it depends how forward-thinking people are, how creative they are. I remember having some unpleasant experiences when I would go to certain restaurants, when I was traveling, for example, and people would just like steam maybe a pile of corn and perhaps some bell pepper and think that's a really gorgeous and fabulous meal because they were totally ignorant about it. I feel that the chefs actually should have been more versed in different types of different types of vegetarianism, different diets, and they really weren't. Now, this was a while ago, and obviously things have changed so dramatically and wonderfully since then. So, upon doing it today, if I were actually beginning my vegan journey today, I would be so much happier, and I would be experiencing something that is way better than what I experienced. And luckily, those memories are that. They are specifically memories long gone. Do you remember in the last video, the question of the day was, do grasshoppers have ears? Did anyone know the answer to that? Insects do have ears. And obviously they do not have ears like we have, big, sticky, outy type of ears. But grasshoppers have ears under their wings. Isn't that cool? They must go deaf when they're doing this with their wings in order to sing. I have no idea, but they are very attuned to one another's song. So I suppose that having the ears under the wings is a definite attribute. By the way, that singing you hear right now in the background, those are cicadas. They are really wonderful creatures related to the locust. And I had stated in previous videos that, oh, that's a bird, lovely birdie. I had stated in previous videos that this year they are especially prolific for whatever reason. I'm not really sure, but I love them. They're just fantastic the way they swell, and then there's a lull, and then there's a swell, as though they're being conducted by, I don't know, an insect conductor, and they're a cicada symphony. But they get so loud sometimes that it's difficult for me to speak over them, and I just wanted to let you know, for those of you who are new to my channel, and perhaps this is the first video of mine that you're watching, you are hearing cicadas in the background, so I do hope you enjoy them. You can see the heat shimmering in the air. I had an overall very negative experience going to school, but I did decide to go to my high school prom. I had phoned ahead because, you know, you place your order whether you want like some sort of beef thing, I guess, or chicken as the two options, and then I had communicated with them, so I thought, and ordered a vegetarian meal. At that time I was not yet vegan, and also at that time I was not gluten-free, so it was fairly easy to prepare something without any type of meat. And when my platter arrived, it had chicken on it. It was some kind of mushy vegetable mix with chicken, like roast chicken. And I remember a girl who was seated at my table told the server, just give it to her, she'll eat it. Well, you do not say that to me. After I murdered the girl, ha ha ha. I went to the kitchen and I complained, and I said I deserve to enjoy my meal as much as any carnivore in this place. I was quite irate because that is one point that I'd like to make. A vegan or a vegetarian has as much right to enjoy his or her meal as anybody else. And I really don't remember what they served me. They obviously didn't serve me fish, chicken, or beef, or whatever it was, and I wound up, I suppose, getting some limp vegetable medley, and I would never say that meal was memorable. I did enjoy my prom experience, but it was rather sad that I cannot say the same of the meal. And that was a number of years ago, so I'm illustrating the point that I made earlier in this video about time making and improving the situation for vegans and vegetarians. However, there were also some really cool surprises from years ago. To tell you a bit about me, about my personal self and history, I am of proud British heritage, and I grew up in New York and the Philadelphia area, and then later my beloved Hawaii. And when I was in Southampton, I went to, this was a while ago, I just don't know how many years, but I went to John Duck Jr.'s Tavern, which is out in Southampton, and I really had a fantastic meal experience. And that was before you would see a lot of vegan or vegetarian options on the menu at places like that. That's a large restaurant, and it's really cool. It's got this beautiful Southampton vibe to it because, of course, it's a lot of wood paneling, and it's very beachy and big windows. And they served me an enormous platter. By that time I was vegan, so I said that to the chef. I said, please, to the server, I said, please send this message back to the chef that I'm vegan. And they came out, they brought this enormous platter that I would not have been able to eat in several days. And they put numerous vegetables on it, big piles of, it did look beautiful. Lovely piles of many different types of vegetables, and they put garnishing, and they put a little sprinkling of, like a mix, maybe basil, rosemary. They put rosemary sprigs, for example. And it was so lovely that I said to the server, please send my compliments back to the chef. So I have had numerous experiences like that too, and those are the ones that I really remember. They make me smile, and it's really, really great to know that there were chefs who were quite open-minded to be flexible. Of course, nowadays, the word vegan is fairly commonplace. I can actually recall people staring at me blankly back when I went vegan. When I would say the word vegan, they would totally not know what it meant. Or when they would see it spelled and written out, they would pronounce it vegan. So we've come a long way. And when you type in, obviously, when you go to YouTube and type in becoming vegetarian, becoming vegan, a million videos pop up. And there has been a lot of change in a short period of time. Here I am talking about the progression of change with veganism, and you'd think I was 70 years old, which of course is not true. I really think that in the past 5 years, there has been a remarkable increase of people who are turning to plant-based diets, which is really exciting news. And there are many people out there who are happily sharing their individual journeys with anyone who's interested. And I have this opportunity to share my personal journey with you. And it's very wonderful. It really makes me happy to be able to do this, to perhaps inspire someone to do it or to connect with other vegans. And if there's anyone who would like to share his or her experience with me, pardon me, some gnats are bothering me. Again, it's a very hot day. Please do comment below and let me know your experience and tell me a funny story or tell me something that has made you feel really, really good about being plant-based, vegetarian, or vegan. As far as meals, you can get as creative as you like. You can become really a vegan gourmet, or you can keep things quite simple. I like some vegan gourmet foods as well, although since I don't like food preparation, I don't go to that extent myself, and I basically just stick to very simple whole foods, and I never eat processed foods. I don't buy like vegan TV dinners or anything like that. That's my preference. And at one point, I became swept up in the raw vegan movement, and I delved into that for a while, and I really liked the kale crisps and the numerous dehydrated foods that were quite tasty and crispy with vegetables, dehydrated vegetables. But I felt that it was too restrictive because there was no way I could eat raw Brussels sprouts, for example. And there were foods that I loved that I really wasn't able to eat because you can't eat them raw very nicely, or they taste yucky or whatever. So I got away from that, and that was sort of a
a phase, I think, for a bit with vegans a few years ago, but I'm glad I tried that, and I'm glad I actually then got away from it, because there are some points from it that I now use in my diet, and a few products that I still continue to buy because I like them. So I was interested in trying different ways of being vegan so that I could decide what works for me and how I want to design my diet. And really, there's a lot out there. There's just so much to explore, which is fun and exciting. Please let me know in the comments below if you have had a memorable experience with an animal. I hope you've enjoyed this part 2 of my vegan journey. I'm glad that I actually created a second video because there were some things that I thought about since I finished the first one, so I wanted to add on to that and create a little series. So it was sort of a vegan podcast, part 1 and 2. Please watch part 1 and tell me what you think. Thank you for joining me. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel so we can have more fun and exciting videos in the near future. Have a wonderful week. Bye!